Going on, everyone? This video we're looking at the Monday night football slate between the Ravens and the Browns. Hopefully, you guys all had a good Sunday. It was another good week. For Sunday, we put up a 168 on Draftkings using the core that I posted on a Saturday. Had a good day on FanDuel as well, 137 on FanDuel with Ryan, McKissick, Eckler, Ridley, Hill, and Patrick being the six pieces that I had in the video. Hill and Ridley were super low owned, especially in cash. And Ridley was missing a sidekick, Julio Jones, who was the number one weapon. And Hill has just been the monster all season, and especially as of late. So it was a good week. Hopefully, you guys had success as well, and let's keep it going. So, as always, appreciate you guys hit the like button on the video, subscribe if you haven't already, and check out the website if you want to join the team, dfsprocess.net, and let's keep it going today. So, um, we have the Ravens traveling into Cleveland. The Browns have been rolling, coming off with a big win against the Titans. The Ravens, they're getting their pieces back on offense. They're getting Andrews back this week. They're getting Willie Snead back. Their running backs are all healthy. Only question mark is Des Bryant. Now that Andrews and Snead are back, he's not going to play a crazy amount. But the Browns are pretty much all healthy except for Hodge is out. They did bring in Marvin Hall, former Detroit Lion. He's only $300 in the captain spot, so he's a guy that's going to get some playing time tonight and could be a decent value play. But you have Lamar Jackson at 17-7 in the captain spot. He's 11-8. Is not having the best season. He's still been okay lately just because he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league at getting rushing yards. This matchup, he did destroy the Browns earlier this season, but it's a completely different team. The Ravens were trending upwards during that time. It was the first game of the season, but Ravens are trending up from last season. The Browns have just been playing great recently, so I think it's going to be a completely different game. I actually do think the Browns can win this game, and I think they will win this game. So Lamar Jackson, you could play him at captain, and we'll look at a build or two with him at captain, but I think you could also just play him in flex or not even play him at all if you're not feeling it. I love Nick Chubb tonight, 15-3 in the captain, 10-2 in the flex. He's just been a touchdown monster recently. He's been getting 100-plus yards, getting 20-plus carries a game. He's getting touches, getting a couple of targets too, which was kind of rare earlier this season. So I do like the spot. It's similar spot for them on the ground and in the air. Both the Ravens' defense is pretty good, but the Browns at home, the way that offense is going, it's starting to kind of getting into a rhythm, and it's with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt getting like 35-plus touches combined a game. So definitely like Nick Chubb tonight. I like Baker at 15K in the captain spot. He's in the flex. He looks a little bit better at 10K. Mark Andrews at 8,800 is going to be a pretty good play tonight. I definitely think he's a core piece just because they're missing Nick Boyle. So maybe whenever Nick Boyle's been out, Andrews has just seen a huge increase in snap share. He's going to be out there on the field the entire game, and that helps him a lot in getting targets. He has been Lamar Jackson's favorite weapon for last couple years. So I think Andrews looks good. I like him a little bit more than Marquise Brown. You could go to Brown too, but I like Andrews a bit more. Willie Snead is back. I think he looks like a pretty good cheap play at 5,800 too. He's been one of the more consistent receivers for Lamar Jackson this season. 7 targets before he missed some time with COVID. So I think he looks like a decent play tonight. And then on the Browns side, they are going to be missing Austin Hooper most likely. So you're going to see David Njoku become a bit more of a factor. They also have Harrison Bryant, but Bryant's already priced at 4,200. And he has had a couple of drop problems, so he hasn't been playing a ton recently. But now that Hooper's out, I think he'll get some snaps, but I also think Njoku could get some carries. I think get some snaps at tight end, so I think they'll split some work there. But you're getting $200 for Marvin Hall. This Cleveland wide receiving corpse is pretty depleted with some injuries. Obviously, OBJ is out for the season. Cordero Hodge is out tonight too. So last game they played Donovan Peoples-Jones, who had that 72-yard touchdown grab. He played 57%, Higgins played 68%, and Jarvis Landry played 67%. Now that they brought in Hall, he should play tonight. $200, I think you can't go wrong there. Could even leapfrog like Jones, or probably split some work there in the wide receiver 3 sets. I think he looks a little bit better than going with Njoku or going with Bryant just because he's super cheap. And then it'll allow you to pay up for like a Nick Chubb at captain if you wanted to do that. You could even get to Lamar Jackson in this type of build and then, play like Marquise Brown and double stack or you can try to play Lamar Jackson at captain, and then you can try to still get to Nick Chubb, and then you could even go Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt here if you wanted to. But on the Cleveland side, I'm really liking Nick Chubb, Baker Mayfield, and Landry. The expensive guys, but I think you can make a lineup with all three of them in there and going with a couple of the cheap receivers, and then adding Marvin Hall at $200 and going with a couple of guys on the Ravens that are going to get a lot of volume. Ravens offense is always tough because they played three running backs, and then now that they're all going to be all healthy with Snead and Andrews, it's always going to be a mystery of who has a good game. But on the Cleveland side, I think I'm kind of narrowing my selection down to like Chubb, Mayfield. I like Hall. You can definitely play Jarvis Landry, and then if I was going to go with the cheap guy, it would be Higgins. So who I like on the Browns side, on the Ravens side, it's Lamar Jackson, although I'm a little bit less in love with him tonight than some other people. I know he's going to be super popular tonight, but I think you could make it work without him if you're not feeling it. But definitely love Mark Andrews. He's my favorite player on the Ravens. The running backs, always up in the air. Like, Dobbins is probably going to be the guy, but they also have Gus Edwards, who played a lot and played well last week, and they have Mark Ingram. So I always hate messing with three running back backfield, so I will probably pass on all three of them. You have Willie Snead, who I like at 58, just because he's going to be out there on the field. He's been he's quite a bit cheaper than Marquise Brown. He's been a pretty reliable target for Lamar Jackson. I think he'll be like probably the third option besides Brown and Andrews. And then I'm not interested really in Boykin or Duvernay now that they got Snead and Andrews back there, just kind of relegated. I'd rather take a shot on like David Njoku from the Browns, or go with Marvin Hall. And that's it. So let's look at some builds. I think that's where we're gonna spend most of the time on this video. There are a lot of viable plays tonight, but captain, let's go Nick Chubb. Get him with Baker Mayfield, and then see if we can even get Jarvis Landry in there. Want to do a bit of a Browns stack? You can play Marvin Hall, $200. Getting a couple catches and he already hits value. Then you have 75.50. That is where I would go with Andrews, and go with like Willie Snead and just eat $500 on the table. That's one lineup that I think is very viable. It's going to be different because it doesn't have Lamar Jackson in there. If you want to have Lamar Jackson, I think you go back to the first one that we had with Jackson, Chubb, Mayfield, probably Hall. $200, Mark Andrews, and then at $3,100 left, maybe take a shot on like Ingram at $2,800. That's another place to go. We haven't talked about the kickers yet. If I was going to play a kicker, it would probably be Justin Tucker, just because even though he missed a field goal last week, he's still been the most accurate kicker. The Ravens offense doesn't settle for a ton of field goals, but I still think he's I'd rather take a shot on him than Cody Parkey. So if you wanted to play Tucker, still see with Chubb at captain with Lamar Jackson. With Andrew, I think Lamar. If you're playing Lamar Jackson, you probably want to play Andrews with him. 51.50, you have room to get Willie Snead. Maybe Harrison Bryant if you think he's gonna benefit a lot. I think he definitely is gonna play 50+% of the snaps at tight end, but on running routes it could be him running a lot, or they could give some to Njoku. So a little bit of uncertainty there, but I think Willie Snead is still a good play at 58. If you wanted to pay up a little bit more, you could go to Marquise Brown and get the two big play guys, and then still try to get to Ingram. That's if you wanted to do a Ravens onslaught with Chubb at captain. That's super crazy. So I will probably go back to going with like a Landry here at $9,400, and then just playing Marvin Hall at $200, and going with a nice balanced approach where you still got a lot of the playmakers. You do not have Baker Mayfield in here, so if you wanted to play Mayfield, take out Landry, and put in Mayfield, and that looks like a pretty typical cash kind of lineup. With you got your low safe plays with Tucker and Hall probably tonight, and then you got the upside plays at Chubb, Lamar, Andrews, and Mayfield, who is going to be a good GPP play because he's always hit or miss, but lately he's been playing well, and I think he's kind of a momentum guy, and I think this week he's going to be able to take some of his struggles off against the Ravens because he hasn't played well against them. But hopefully, the way he's been playing, it kind of all comes together tonight. So this is kind of like the DraftKings look. In terms of core pieces, I love Nick Chubb. I like Mark Andrews and like Baker are the three guys that I'm really interested in, and I think probably throw in Willie Snead as a fourth guy at 5,800. So that's it for the DraftKings side. Let's go over to FanDuel. All right, on FanDuel, Lamar Jackson is 17K, so I thought he was expensive on DraftKings. He's super expensive on FanDuel. People are still going to go all over him, so I think if you wanted to, this is probably the spot where you could get away from him and just focus on getting some of the other pieces on that offense, whether it be Dobbins but I really like Andrews now that he's back this week. I think you could look to Brown, you could look to Snead, who's cheap. So if you wanted to get away from Lamar, you could, just because the Browns have a lot of pieces that could have a similar game. Like Chubb can go off. You can see Baker have a very not like a typical performance, but he has those special weeks where he does kind of like last week. But so we'll see. If you wanted to fade Lamar Jackson, it could definitely be a spot to do that this week. So I captain MVP on FanDuel. I'm looking at like Chubb. Still think Jackson is in play, obviously, because you're not paying extra for him at the captains or at the MVP spot. You have Baker Mayfield at 15K. Probably go with one of the running backs, whether it be Chubb on the Browns. Well, it would only be Chubb on the Browns, and then on the Ravens, I wouldn't play a guy a captain for them. Wide receiver, I'm not going to probably play a captain either. You could play Andrews at MVP and be creative because I don't think he's going to get a ton of love, but it's a good spot against the Browns. They've struggled at defending tight ends for years, and Andrews just goes from like a 60% snap share when they have Boyle in there to basically being a 90+% snap share. So Andrews is a great play. Brown is similar price range. I would rather go to Andrews way more than Brown if I had to choose one. Higgins is 95. That's somewhat expensive. I think you can go with maybe go with like a Snead, go with Jones, or if you wanted to play Hall, he's 5,500. Nobody knows what his workload is going to be unless we get some sort of news. So he's always a little bit risky on FanDuel because 5,500 is still a pretty big portion of your salary, but on DraftKings, $200 out of 50,000 is not too much of a difference. So on FanDuel, I'm looking at Chubb. I am for sure looking at Andrews. And I think Landry is going to have another good week. These are the three pieces that I'm really interested in. Landry's 11, 10 targets the past 2 weeks. They are just really banged up at the wide receiver position, so he has just kind of emerged. You could chase and go with Higgins, but it feels a little bit chasing, so I'd rather go with the better guy, and that's Landry. And then you could look towards Snead, who I like a lot. You have like over 11, 12K, so you could still go with Lamar Jackson if you wanted to, and then go with Paul. You could go with Baker, and then go with Snead. A lot of ways to go. I think the Browns will win this game. See what happens here tonight, but that's it for the videos. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it, and best of luck tonight.